Time gets the better of everyone. The beast, the ferocious, the greatest, all bow down to time. It is very heart-wrenching to see the collapse of these monsters who looked untouchable in their prime, who thought they've got the world in their palms, just to fall from those highs in a way that leaves people speechless. In today's video, we will look at some of the emotional goodbyes of fighters after their last fights. Number 5. Muhammad Ali. Perhaps the greatest boxer of all time. Muhammad Ali had a terrible end to his career. People remember how great Ali was. From boxing and trash talk to mind games, he outclassed his opponents in every possible way. Unfortunately, things that made him who he was, the trash talk, the insane footwork, the speed, were stripped off him by time. The amount of damage he had taken in all these years got the better of him. He announced his retirement in 1978. After regaining the championship, he lost to Leon Spinks. However, he made an ill-advised comeback and was set to fight against Larry Holmes. Everything about this fight was bad. Ali was clearly not the same guy he used to be. He was not speaking the same. He was sluggish in his movements. It was all too clear that he was in no shape to step in the ring with a monster like Holmes, and there was no way he was going to win this bout. That's exactly how everything went down. Even Larry Holmes realized that he was in no condition to fight. Larry, in an interview, said he told the referee to stop this fight. All Ali had left was his heart. He kept on taking heavy blows to the head, which surely did great damage to his already deteriorated condition. After this disastrous fight, his manager still got him to fight again in 1981 against Trevor Berbick, which he again lost via decision. During this fight, he was in the early stage of Parkinson's disease. He did perform a little better than he did in the Holmes fight, but he was never the same Ali anymore. It was devastating to see how badly his health deteriorated. Number 4. Daniel Cormier. Everyone likes and respects DC. He is a great person in and out of the octagon. He had a flawless career and was up on everyone's list for being the greatest UFC fighter of all time, the way he was mauling everyone in the octagon. However, there was this one guy who he just could not beat, Jon Jones. DC tried his absolute best to make sure he one-upped John Bones Jones. Despite all the drama and allegations, Jon Jones was the guy who got the better of him. And it hurt him like nothing else because the rivalry between the two was as real as it gets. The two hated each other so much that they could not stand each other's presence. They trash-talked, fought at the press conference, and talked as badly as they could during the build-up to these fights. Joe Rogan apologized to DC for interviewing him after he lost the match against Jon Jones. DC was crying, and he could not speak properly because it hurt him so much to take a loss from the guy he wanted to beat so badly. In an interview, he said, "I was so embarrassed to losing the way I did." After these wars with Jones, DC was never the same. He went on to fight against Stipe Miocic and lost back-to-back fights. That was the end of his career, and he knew that age had gotten the better of him. In the post-fight interview, his eyes were messed up and he could not even see from his left eye. He said, "It sucks being on the losing ends of two big fights. It's a very sad position to be in. You know, Joe, I'm not interested in fighting anything other than the title. And I don't imagine there will be a title fight, so that'll be it for me." Number 3. Mike Tyson. This was perhaps the saddest downfall in the history of boxing. Mike Tyson started off his career with an absolute beast mentality. He knocked out boxers bigger than him and ended up winning the heavyweight title at a very young age. That was when Mike had a direction. He had a purpose. Cus D'Amato made sure that he did justice to his potential. But the power of money has been a downfall to so many greats. And it was the undoing of the legacy of the great Mike Tyson. He forgot the tenets that brought him to his highest highs in the world. And the people he was surrounded by did not want the best for him either. He stopped training, started doing some wild things, and paid for them dearly. He even got to a point where he lost hundreds of millions of dollars and went bankrupt. He was fighting so that he could make ends meet. In his last fight against Kevin McBride, Tyson was not the same anymore, and the beast in him appeared to have died. The former heavyweight champion of the world, who could kill his opponent with his deadly stare, was knocked down in the 6th round and decided to quit. Yes, Tyson quit. In the post-fight interview, when asked whether he would fight again, he said, "I don't know whether I have it anymore. I don't got the fighting guts. I'm just sorry that I let everybody down. I just don't have it in my heart anymore. I'm just fighting to take care of my bills, basically. If this did not make you cry, nothing would." Number 2. Anderson Silva. Anderson, the Spider Silva, is considered to be the GOAT in the world of MMA. In his prime, he made a mockery of his opponents and looked untouchable. And with everyone, his fall was one of the saddest in the history of UFC. He kept on fighting even when he was not the same fighter anymore. This has damaged his record, which does not look as if it is someone's who would be considered the greatest fighter. This is all because he kept pushing himself. Even when he was way out of his prime, he lost fights against fighters that he really shouldn't have lost. He had 31 wins and only 4 losses before he fought Chris Weidman in 2013. He went on to lose 6 of his next 8 fights. After his last fight against Uriah Hall, with a bruised face, he said, "Today is the final day and I am so happy to be here. It's tough to say because this is what I do for my entire life and with my heart." He was not even willing to say that it was his last fight because he was so passionate about sports. But it really was the last time we saw the spider in the octagon. Number 1. Khabib Nurmagomedov. Not many people get to retire the way this man did. His entire life, he dreamed of becoming the UFC champion with his father by his side, guiding him all the way. He reached the top and lost the one person who had helped him get to that place, his father. After this tragic loss, Khabib decided to end his career after his last fight against Justin Gaethje. It was the absolute opposite of how a lot of great fighters have had their last matches. They usually end up being badly beaten by an ordinary fighter. However, in this case, Khabib was up against the toughest challenge of his entire career. Justin Gaethje was the person who would have one last chance to try to break Khabib's undefeated streak. But Khabib looked undefeated. There was so much pressure on his shoulders that night. It was impossible to break him. Not only did he absolutely outclass Gaethje, but he was also having mercy on him by not putting him in a submission that would possibly hurt him in the long run. He broke down in tears and was crying his heart out. It appeared as if the pressure of the world has lifted off his shoulders. He announced his retirement and said that he had promised his mother that he would not fight again. And that was how Khabib ended his untarnished legacy and became the UFC Hall of Famer just at the age of 33. Talk about greatness! Which fighter's goodbye do you think was the saddest? Tell us in the comments section below. If you're enjoying our content and want to see more, be sure to leave a like before subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. And as always, thanks for watching and until next time.